So I know a lot of folks do this for style, but I actually want to use it for protection. If you guys didn't know, I ceramic coated the car and it has PPF and all the other stuff on there. So I'm doing my best to protect the Subaru paint since it isn't the strongest out there. So I think these should help out a lot with the pebbles and stuff like that it flings up with these beefy tires. So let's go ahead and get started on the install. All right, so let's just do a quick unboxing. Inside you get the hardware, which I'll explain in a little bit here. And then you get the mud flaps. So I had to get the orange. I got the orange ones to match the little accents that the Outback has, and I think they look really cool. So I'm gonna lay these out here so we know what we're working with. So in the pouch, I know it looks intimidating, but I broke it up this way and I did a yellow line right here so you guys can see the differences. It's not that bad when you have everything laid out. So got the front hardware here. You have 6 of these bigger screws, and just for comparison, there's the bigger screw compared to the smaller ones, the skinnier ones for the rear. But for the front, you have 4 of these clips, 2 of these spacers, these things right here, 6 washers, and then again 6 of the bigger screws. Then we go to the rear, you have 6 of these little screws, 8 washers, and then 4 of the nuts. And you also have these 2 machine screws, as well as the brackets and the 6 clips right here. Oh, and this adhesive thing that we'll use later. But yeah, that's just the differences between the front and the rear. So not difficult at all, and it's a lot easier if you break it down like this. And not to get confused, the bigger one out of the 2 is for the rear, and then these 2 small ones right here are for the fronts. Then you'll just need some very basic tools for this install. I have this ratchet screwdriver since you're gonna have to work in between the wheel well as well as the tire. And I think this one might work, but this one is a lot better because it's very thin right there. And I'll link a product to this in the description so you guys can check it out for yourselves. But let's go ahead and get the install started. Okay guys, I actually ended up installing the passenger side first just to make sure that I share every little detail that I could find about the install. But overall, it was pretty simple. It took me like 15 minutes for the front and the back. But there's a couple things I wanted to point out, which I will do on the other side. But for now, they look pretty good. And like I said, the install was pretty easy. And while we're at the rear mud flap, I wanted to point out something about the bracket. So you'll see in the instructions on the second part for the rear mud flap that there's a sticker that comes with it. You're supposed to put the sticker on the bracket right here. This part is supposed to be facing the back, and this sticker is simply to blend it in. That's it. So if you guys can see it right there, just right behind the mud flap, it's a little hard to see. The black sticker is there so it hides the bracket a little better. It's not used for any adhesives or anything like that. So let's go ahead and get the other side started. All right, so we're at the front driver's side of the car, and the first thing you want to do is remove these 4 clips, these push clips, 1, 2, 3, and 4. You're going to be saving this one right here on the top. So remove these and then put them away. And one thing to note, the one you're saving is different from the rest. So there's 3 of these that you took off, and you wanted to save this one right here, the smaller one out of the 3. All right, next up you'll need these 2 clips, and then you'll be putting them right here, 1 each. So you want to lift up the cover right here and then make sure that it is facing this way when you install it. So this way. Okay, so after you get the 2 clips installed, you want to get that last push clip, the smallest one, and put it back there. All right, so next up, you take this thing, and I guess it's called an expansion. I don't know, I've never called it by that, but you just want to take this and then push it in the center and fold it that way. And it does feel like you're gonna break it, so that it's like that. This piece goes into this spot right here, and you just want to push that in there just like so. Now we should be ready for the mud flap. And remember, the smaller one goes up front, logo facing the back, and you basically get the longer screws, Put a washer on top, and you're gonna put one in each hole, 1, 2, and then for this third one, you're gonna need that spacer right in front of it behind the mud flap, and then you're gonna thread it through that way. And make sure that it's just slightly threaded in there, because you're gonna wanna make sure to make your final adjustments before tightening them down. And again, you have the spacer. You want to put it behind that mud flap. And then thread that using the screw. That plastic piece that we put in there might spin, so you want to make sure you screw it in there pretty quickly, or find a way to just hold that white plastic piece on the back. So what I did was I took my thumb and I'm pushing against that white clip on the back, and basically just pushing the screwdriver into the screw so that it gains traction and then threads into place. After that, you should be good to tighten it. So once you get the screws threaded in there and you're happy with the position of the mud flap, go ahead and tighten it down. All right, so the fronts are now completed. Let's go move on to the back side. All right, so the first thing you want to do for the back is get the bracket and the sticker that it comes with. And like I mentioned, make sure this is clean, by the way. I used some rubbing alcohol just to clean that off. I'm gonna take that sticker and just place it on the edge of this bracket. All right, just like that. And the first step is to remove these two clips right here, and you just want to push it in with the screwdriver, just carefully. And it should pop in, and you should be able to just pull them straight out. All right, I'm gonna move the camera here in a second because we'll need to have a visual under, but for this next step, you're gonna need this machine screw and the bracket that we put the black sticker on. So like I mentioned earlier, the black part is gonna be facing the back of the car, and then this thing right here is facing the front of the car. This is essentially where you're gonna use the nut and thread on the mud flap, just like so, and I'll show you where this goes. All right, so I'm gonna bring you guys under the car. So if we look under here, there's a few holes, but the one you want to secure the bracket onto is this one right here. So again, here's the side of the bumper, and it's gonna be that one right there. All right, so what you're gonna wanna do is you get your bracket, you get the machine screw, just put that through the bracket like so, and then you get that nut. This is an 11mm nut. Fish it through that hole right there, and on the other side, you can just reach in through here. You want to thread it on there with that nut so that it stays in place. And I'm just using this 11mm open-ended wrench, holding that nut in place while I tighten it. And then you want to make sure that it's just straight so that it faces the back, not angled, just straight like that, just flush. And this is what the bracket is supposed to look like once you get it tightened down. So now we're ready to move on to the next step. All right, so next up you get the 3 orange clips included in the kit, and then you want to put one in each hole. So there's 1, 2, and 3. But for the top 2, what you're gonna wanna do is make sure that the clip is inside behind this plastic piece. So again, I got the orange clips right here. These first 2 are behind this tab, and then this last one on the bottom is just over the little plastic right here. So after you have these installed, you're now ready to mount the mud flap. And it's a little hard to see, but you want to secure the mud flap with that 11mm nut, which is right there just behind the tire. So after you're happy with your placement, you want to go ahead and tighten these 3 screws and of course that 11mm nut in the back, and we should be done with the install. So this is where this tool comes in handy. Able to get into these small spaces using it. So, and I actually had to redo that nut over there. I forgot the washer, so remember to put that on there and don't make the same mistake as I did. Alright, so I just finished the install of the Rally Armor mud flaps. The install was pretty easy. I love how the orange matches all the accents on the Wilderness, just like this thing, and then the bars on the roof, and I think it looks pretty good. The fitment is great too. It doesn't stick out a whole bunch and it's adjustable. Overall, the installation was easy. The one thing I didn't like was the little push pin or clip that goes behind this one right here. It was just a little difficult to tighten without it moving, but again, if you push down on it and apply pressure when you're screwing it in, it should stay in place and allow you to tighten it all the way. But that's about it. The bracket was a little confusing in the beginning, but that was pretty easy as well, the one that goes under here. So remember, if we go under here, it's this hole that you want to secure this bracket, and that should be it. Alright guys, so that was just a quick and easy install of the Rally Armor mud flaps. I'm gonna go ahead and close out this video. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, and as always, I'll catch you guys in the next one.